People, welcome to the Emily Kate Made This podcast. This is primarily a knitting podcast, but you'll also find me doing some sewing and some other crafty bits here and there. So thank you very much to all of my new subscribers and welcome back, and a big welcome to anyone new who's watching. So let's get to it. I should start with what I'm wearing. So this is, as many of you may know, the Ranunculus. This is a pattern by Knit Café Midori. It's really, really popular. I saw it by Heather and Hops last year, and it's so beautiful. So I decided to make a summer version. I think a combination of I really wanted to get it done fast, so I made a short sleeve, and also my apartment's pretty warm all year round anyway. I'm in Berlin, so that could come as a shock because Berlin winters are very cold, but my apartment is nice and toasty warm. So I'm going to wear this all year. It is made from the Drops Belle. I mentioned it a couple of times already actually. It's a combination of cotton, linen and viscose, so it's a nice summer weight. I did go down a couple of needle sizes actually. Can't remember exactly, but it was maybe 4.5 millimeter or 5, and I believe the pattern calls for a 6, so pretty big. And I also can't remember, but I think it works up as like a DK, whereas the pattern actually calls for fingering and mohair together, but there are thousands of versions. So I think the reason I even did this was because Heather and Hops did a DK wool, and it came out like smaller. The original pattern's quite big, like balloony, quite flowy. I don't know if you'll see it. And I'll add some pictures, I think, but isn't it beautiful? The first time I made this, I'll show you that one in another podcast actually. The first time I made it was with a kind of wool acrylic blend, and I went a bit wrong on this bit, and it was all one over. But this time, thank goodness, it went well because this shows up everything. So if you make a mistake, you're gonna know about it. So I'm really, really, really happy with it. It was a very strange experience where I made it and I immediately thought, I want to make another one. That's really weird. Why do I want to make another one? And then I did. I made this one. And after I finished my 2, I thought, yeah, but I want another one. And apparently I'm not alone, because lots and lots of people have made 4 or 5 different ones by now. So that weirdly made me feel a lot better. Excuse me. So that's what I'm wearing. And I don't have any finished objects, but I do have a half finished object. I won't go on too much about it because I did talk about it last time, but I think I was only just starting it. So this is a sock by, got my notes as usual, the Handmade Life, the Woodland Walk socks. I will try and insert a picture, maybe of it on my foot so you can see. But it looks really weird. I've left these stitch markers in for a reason. I went a bit wrong, but let's first talk about how beautiful this is. I'll try and get my face out of the picture. So they're like cascading leaves that go all the way down, and it's so beautiful. And it has a Eye of Partridge heel, if you can see, but you'll also see at the back here, I just went so wrong on the heel. I I think you're supposed to start the decreases and they go from like here. I'm not very good at showing this on camera, maybe I'll get better. Basically, the decreases went wrong. And I thought about it, and I've started a lot of pairs of socks this year, but none of them have actually turned into a sock, because you'll know from my previous podcast that one turned into mittens, one came out too small, and one, it was a completely different heel construction to this one. So I think the combination of a lace pattern and not having done it in so long was the reason for that. But it doesn't matter because it fits. It goes over my foot, there's no problem, it's marvellous. Haven't decided if it's going to be a present because, again, from my last podcast, you'll know that the toadstool socks turned into mittens, and my mum doesn't need 2 pairs of mittens for Christmas, but they were supposed to be socks for her. So I then thought I'll make these for her. But I really like them. So I don't know, maybe, we'll see. I have so many pairs of socks planned. So she will definitely get a pair, but I haven't decided which pair. The yarn I'm using is this one. It's called Onion Knits. It's a combination of superwash wool and 30% nettle. So I found that very exciting. I don't completely understand how superwash works, and I know there are some that are a bit better than others environmentally, but I do tend to, like now that I'm buying yarn versus using yarn some people gave me when I started knitting, now I don't buy superwash, but I know that it can be bad. But I'm really hoping this one isn't, because it doesn't use nylon, so it kind of technically could be plastic free. Oh, I'm rambling and I don't really know what I'm saying, so let's move on and have coffee, because coffee is the answer. So my next half finished object, put these aside, is another thing that you saw on my last podcast, but this time it's much, much bigger. Bigger? It is the Golden October Shawl by the Knit Stitch. It is stuck and doesn't want to come out. There we go. That's the back. So, isn't it beautiful? I'm in love with this. And there's a big strand of yarn. Alright, let's get you out of the way. So hopefully you can see that. The light isn't fantastic. I thought filming in a room that had a southern facing window would be the answer to all my troubles, but the clouds, I don't know, it's not that bright in here, but hopefully you can see this. I am obsessed with this pattern. I have done this pattern in a top that I wore last time, I think, a jumper, another jumper, scarf, and I'm certain there's something else that I'm forgetting. But this is the 5th time I'm doing a pattern with this pattern, stitch pattern, and oh, I'm so in love with it. But I was thinking about this last night. There are some people that just say, oh, I read the chart and then I remembered it and it's so easy and you don't even need to look at it anymore. I'm not one of those people. I can remember things in movies. I can watch a movie once and then I'll just remember everything that they said. Okay, maybe not everything, but I'll know what's coming. I'll remember it. I'll remember some of the lines. I'll remember the actors or their faces, or I hear their voices and I know who it is. So I have a memory. There is evidence. I could remember things I've argued about with my husband. But I have done this pattern so many times for hours and hours and hours, and every single time I have to look at the pattern. Every row I have to look at the pattern. So I don't know what's wrong with me there, but I don't care. I love it. So that's the main thing. So I'm very happy with how this is coming along, and I did think I might do it again, but that's crazy because I'm only halfway through this, so I need to do another 100 rows and obviously they get bigger, so at some point it's going to be like, oh. And I'm pretty sure by then I'll think, I'm glad this is finished, I'm not casting on another one. But I still kind of think I might, because if you watch my last knitting podcast, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of the yarn. I'm just using it up. It's like a polyacrylic wool blend, but it feels a bit rubbish. I'm not sure how it'll be. I mean, it might be fine in the rain because it's not going to be like sheepy. But as soon as I just said that, I think, oh, but I want a sheepy one. So yeah, I'll probably end up making one again, but not this year. So, new cast-ons. It happened. I know. I have a huge shawl and I have a sock, and I've cast on not just one, but 2 more. And yes, I still have the colourwork mittens to finish. So, very naughty. But there is an excuse, because I've decided I would like to teach myself a different knitting technique. You may remember, if you watched the first episode, I said that I have a lot of pain in my hands when I knit. And it basically hurts like as soon as I pick up the needles. Crampy, ow. A lot of people say their wrists hurt, but I don't actually necessarily find it in my wrist specifically. It's up my forearms and my little finger on both hands. So I actually have some bruises here from where I was trying to massage my arm. So that made me go, maybe try another technique. So I spent a good long time trying to learn the Norwegian purl and the Norwegian knit stitch. I don't understand continental. It seems to me like you're begging for a strain in your finger to keep your finger up like this all the time. When I first started to knit, my mum actually, she knits continental but like the other way around. She's left-handed, so she has the yarn in this hand, but she does knit like continentally. Anyway, I basically have been trying to teach myself to knit the Norwegian way. I'm doing quite well on my knitting. Purl is harder. I think I may be just concentrating too much, and there's like so much tension in my hand that it's actually not any better pain-wise, but I'm sure with practice it will get better. So I wanted to have like a whole sleeve done before I showed you this, but the ribbing took me over an hour. So this is, let's try and get my face out of it. I'm still learning how to use a camera, so fingers crossed we'll get there. So this ribbing section took me an hour. I was learning about how painfully different my tension is with the Norwegian stitches, because it's all floppy and there's no stretch. So I went down to a 3.75, I think, and to try and get the stitches a bit closer. And usually my tension in colourwork is too tight, and I thought combining my too tight colourwork with my too loose knitting, it should actually be alright if I just use the recommended size for the sleeve. But it is looking quite tiny, and I did go up a size. So luckily I have like the tiniest wrist, so it's tight, shall we say. And I think it's going to get tighter with blocking. But hopefully not. I don't know. I'll have to give it to a child otherwise. But fingers crossed it will be alright. I'm very excited actually to be doing this, because I've made several, Emily, why are you over exaggerating? I've made like three single socks, because they've all come out wrong, because they've either come out too tight or, yeah, actually they've always come out too tight. So I've made one sock of each. Now I'm doing like a proper rusticy yarn. This is Lett Lopi yarn. So it's all rustic and nice, and I know that when I wash it, any little gaps will all be filled in, versus my socks, which are all like, here is a mistake, look at it, here it is. Oh, So I'm very excited for this. And I also am very excited to use Lett Lopi again, because I used it, that was it, that's the other pattern for the leaf stitch. I did a cardigan as well using the this stitch, and that I'll show you another time because it's amazing. It's probably, oh, I was about to say it's my favourite project, but I think it might be. Anyway, I am distracted once again. Back to this. This is also a cardigan. This is the Maja Cardigan. You may have seen it because I think quite a few people are doing it at the moment. I watched it on Penrose Knits. Penrose Knits? I'll link her down below. I can't remember. I know Penrose, but I can't remember if it is Knits. She did it. I mean, she did it in a week because she's amazing. This has taken me like 3 hours, so possibly gonna take me a month or 2. Oh, Amazon, 1 minute. Oh, sorry about that. Postman. Put my husband in the other room and made him put very loud music on so he can't hear me, which then means he can't hear the postman. So, oops. Where was I? Cardigan, Maja Cardigan. So, yes, lots of people are doing it. I'm all inspired, I'm all excited. And it is by Hélène Magnússon. She's an Icelandic French designer, and she's designed it for, how do I pronounce this? Chiagoo? Chiagoo? It's a free pattern. You'll find it on Ravelry. It is marvellous, and it's going to be my first sticking project. I'm excited for this. I have wanted to steek since the moment I saw it, while simultaneously thinking, why would anybody cut their knitting? But it's exciting. So we'll see how it goes. If my sleeve comes out like a miniature tube, we'll have problems, but hopefully it will all go well. So that is my first cast on. It's using some Lett Lopi that I actually had already, because when I started knitting I looked for free patterns and I found, what's it called? Saltwater Bay cardigan, I think. And I really wanted to make it. I kind of still do, but I ordered colours back in the days of lockdown when there was hardly any colours from Lett Lopi that were available online, and then when you did order them it took a month to get to you. So I basically ordered the colours that like kind of looked good together, but I couldn't really tell because they were online and they did not look good together. I didn't like how they combined. I did some pockets and I still hadn't really learned. Actually, now I say this, I still haven't done stripes ever since, but I didn't really do very well at like at the side where you change from one stripe to another. The twisting that I did was all floppy and it looked rubbish, the colours were rubbish, so I just discarded that, left these on my shelf, stare at them lovingly every day and think, I must find a project for these. And then lo and behold, the Maja Cardigan landed in my lap, and what do you know? The exact colours that are required, with the addition of this rust colour. This one is, I didn't have, whoops, and actually it was really hard to find. When I was looking for it online I had to go through so many different websites until I finally found this one, and I just keep waving it at you, but finally got it. Very happy, beautiful colour. Oh. And I have this one already, it's the straw colour. I really don't like this colour against my skin at all, and I didn't know what to do with it because I have so many balls. But now I'm combining it in this beautiful pattern, and it's so nice. Anyway, I'll stop rubbing yarn all over my face and continue to rub a different ball of yarn on my face, because I also cast on the Humlebi shawl by Fibre Tales, and I got lost there because I didn't cast it on yet. I cast on a swatch because I want to. So another ball to rub on my face. So this is the Beiroa. Let's not even try. I'll put it down below. It's the Rosa Pamor Retrosaria yarn. I did show it to you a while ago. I bought this one to make this shawl, but I am aware that it's not quite the right thickness as the one recommended. But the one recommended is beautiful, but it's expensive, and I know that it's like, for sure worth the money, but I've wanted to use these yarns for so long. I've been looking for any opportunity that I can to order from them, so I did. And I followed Lerke's instructions for the bees, but again, this was me trying to knit using the Norwegian style, so it's a bit loose, so I went down in a needle size and it still looked too loose, so I've gone down another needle size. And I don't know you're going to see this, I'll have to take a picture and insert it, and I think the light isn't doing me any favours, but it's supposed to be a bumblebee. So that's the one on the bigger needles, and that's on the smaller. Can you see it? I don't know, it's focusing on my face. I'm not 100% sure if my wool choice was an excellent idea, because when I watched her video, her stitch definition is like really good. But I don't want to stop. I don't want to get a different one because I really want to use this one. So we'll see. I'm really excited to do it, although I'm absolutely terrified to cast on like 400 stitches. I've never done more than like 150, I don't think. And the idea of going wrong, like on a stitch, and then you notice 1 or 2 rows up and you have to go back. Oh, don't even think about it, Emily. So that is my next cast on that I'm very excited about. I think I'll maybe cast it on officially tonight or tomorrow, but I know that I am starting to spread myself a bit thin with 4, 5 projects. But I mean, it's August. No, it's not August anymore. It's September 1st. Happy September 1st. It's now like autumn. I was about to say it's still summer because August to me is summer, but the weather's been a bit pants really. So I'm definitely, as you may have noticed, getting really jazzed for autumn weather. Not a huge fan at all actually of the winter. Berlin winters are cold and grey and dark and wet and bleh. But I will be prepared. So I haven't really done an acquisition section, but basically this was my acquisition, and somewhere on my pile of knitwear I also got an additional cable, because as I noticed as I was chugging along with this and I'm halfway, my needles are going to struggle. So I think with this one I'm going to add, they're interchangeables, so there's a little, I want to call it an adapter, but I'm pretty sure it's a different word, but basically you attach it to the end and then I can add another, like, words Emily, another cable to this cable to make it longer. But these are on large needles, which requires a different cable, and my other shawl, the bee shawl, is on small needles and requires a small cable. So I have purchased said cable, 125 centimeters or 50 inches. So that should do me, I hope. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to cast on. So what else? I've talked about you, and my acquisitions. So that's all my knitting. That's everything I need to talk about. Want to talk about. Let me look around my room. Was there anything else? No, that's everything. So that is all my knitting and my acquisitions. So I'll just talk a little bit about life stuff, I guess. If you're not interested, that's fine. Thank you for watching this far, and I'll see you next time. And if you are sticking around, I'll just catch you up on a little bit of what I've been doing in the last week. So Last week I went to my in-laws. They live down in the middle of Germany, so kind of like Kassel area, if you're if you know about Germany. And I was kind of excited to go because it's the first time I've actually left Berlin, and even like the area of Berlin that I live in, since the first lockdown. And it was all very exciting that we finally left. I thought I can go into an actual yarn store. I haven't been in one since learning to knit, I don't think. I think I have been in one in March. Oh, it doesn't really matter, that's very boring to you guys. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, Kassel was a disappointment. They really didn't have any yarn stores, and neither did Leipzig. So if anyone knows any yarn stores that are interesting on that route, because I will for sure be doing that route more to visit them. If anyone knows any good yarn stores between Berlin and Kassel, do tell, pray do tell. I didn't get much knitting done. Unfortunately, I get really car sick when I'm in the car knitting or reading. So it was quite what is with my words? Terrifying is not the word I want. It was quite terrible that I had 5 hours drive there and 5 hours back of perfect knitting opportunity time, and I couldn't knit. So actually we sat and listened to some music of my past from the early 2000s and some strange rap hip-hop in German, because my husband loves the movie Das schönste Mädchen der Welt, and yeah, that was the soundtrack for a good couple of hours. And yeah, no knitting. And then when I was at his parents', I couldn't get into it. I couldn't relax enough to like focus on my leaf stitch pattern, or yeah, basically I couldn't relax enough. So I did a lot of online window shopping, which is how I ended up upon the Maja Cardigan pattern, and watching bountiful amounts of YouTube podcasts on other people's patterns, and then adding them all to my Ravelry favourites, and overwhelming myself with an enormous amount of new projects. And what else? No, to be honest, that's it. I've been knitting since I got back, and here we are, recording. So I think I'll round this up now. I'll edit it and hopefully get it out today or tomorrow, and then I will see you either for another sewing episode or in another week or two for another knitting. So thank you very much everybody for watching, and have a great week. Bye.